We gather in the cosmos bright. Stars and ships take flight tonight. In the void where dreams do play. Soul citizens lead the way. Borders fade in nebula's light. Unknown worlds will chart tonight. Through the galaxy we soar. Endless journeys at our core. Borders fade in nebula's light. Unknown worlds will chart tonight. Through the galaxy we soar. Endless journeys at our core. Starry roads in endless skies. Soul citizens we rise. Charting courses never lost. Together the verses crossed. Squadrons call on the horizon. Battles fought, our hearts aren't frightened. In our ships we face the dawn. Soul citizens carry on. Oh, planets spin and light years fly. Boundless space where hopes reside. Brotherhood in every star. Soul citizens, here we are. Borders fade in nebula's light. Unknown worlds will chart tonight. Through the galaxy we soar. Endless journeys at our core. Starry roads in endless skies. Soul citizens we rise. Charting courses never lost. Together the verses crossed.
Citizens, if I unmute my mic, maybe the people can hear me. Welcome back to Soul Citizens. I am GriffinGamingRPG, and we are back. Today is Sunday, November the 30th. Wrapping up a very busy week and a half of IAE, and we are joined today by some very, very special guests that we are so excited to have with us as we are wrapping up this week of IAE. Before we get to them, though, I want to introduce my co-host, which is our good friend, Captain Jones. Cap, how the heck are you?
Doing good, Griff. How you been?
I'm doing good. You sporting that Soul Citizens hat. You got on that RSI Captain Serious Fun would be very proud of you. If I'm not mistaken, that is the RSI Zeus jacket. Is that what I'm seeing right there?
You are absolutely right. You know, either go RSI or go home.
Oh, Lord. I guess I better go home. Okay. But you're looking good, my brother. You're looking good. You're looking good. Glad to have you with me. And again, we have these are very familiar faces within the Star Citizen community. They are not unfamiliar to the Soul Citizens community. First of all, let's introduce directly to my right, your left, DaPoets. Welcome back, my brother. How are you?
Doing well. Just wish I could clone myself with everything that's been going on in life. All good stuff.
You're always running.
Yeah.
You're always running. You're always from here to there. I look at your social media and I'm like, okay, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere. You're always doing stuff, man. You're busy, man. But your dad, right? Your dad, right?
Yeah. 9-month-old baby boy at home and flying all over the place too. I was in New York, Friday, just for the day. Flew back home, flew there in the morning, flew back at night for an event with, HP and Intel, HyperX, Omen.
Oh, wow.
That's the life right now. Just
that's
going
the
back
life.
And forth, things. Yeah.
It's just the life. It's just the life. Well, we're happy to have you. And then thank you for making the time to be here. I know you're a busy guy, but we're always happy to have you here. And also, let me, once again, this is somebody who is very special to us. One of the early founding members of the Soul Citizens is joining us today. The one.
Man, it's just one thing after the other, just keeping up with everything. But just glad to be here and knowing that Star Citizen is doing well.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that a little bit today because there's a lot that we're going to have to talk about just in relation to Star Citizen, IAE, all this stuff. This was just a really busy week. I'm very happy to have both these brothers here with us. Give some shout outs to them. Fast Card, if you can give a shout out to both DaPoets and to Kimmy, would be greatly appreciated. Let's just jump into it because we've got a lot to cover. As you guys know, when we start out our show each week, we start out with what we call Star Citizen this week. And that's where we are right now. We're going to be talking a little bit about what's going on with Star Citizen. And as you guys know, IAE is our theme for today, and we're going to get to that in just a few minutes. But before we get there, let's talk about some interesting things. Gentlemen, there was a milestone hit within the past week. CIG approached the number of $900 million in revenue that is crowdfunded toward the game. And, you know, we kind of knew that they were going to hit this. There was questions about whether it would happen this year, end of the year, whatever. But as we all know, revenue has been coming in at a fairly decent rate this year. CIG is basically in line to once again, amazingly to me, I'm going to say amazingly to me, break a record again. And as of today, this is not as of right now because these numbers may have changed. I wrote this down like 3 hours ago. They were at $914 million and some change. Let's see, Kimmy, I'm gonna start out with you since you were the last one in. You've been around for a little while. You've been here for the milestones before. And, you know, CIG used to kind of celebrate them in the past, but it's kind of been kind of like what kind of bites them in the butt a little bit, right? I mean, it's good to do it, but then the media and people jump in it and they make it sound terrible. What are your thoughts about crossing the milestone here?
Amazing. I just got to say amazing. Put that out there. Amazing. Like you said, the reporters who want to grab up and sling some mud or whatever, they better dig deep because they really got to create a huge hit piece to really come against how they're really doing financially. And, you know, you hear about people saying, well, we have a financial issue, but this is an amazing milestone. I think it was kicked off with the Perseus, but not only that, with all the things that they've been doing, but this was incredible. And it's to your point, it's still going.
Yeah, absolutely. DaPoets, your thoughts?
Well, my take is a little different because for those that don't know, like I am a certified financial planner, you know, chartered financial consultant. I've built a bank branch and 2 investment advisory firms. So I see the numbers kind of different. So like it's cool to see like the round numbers and, you know, breaking $1 billion and all that stuff. That's cool. But there's also the perspective of the individual. You know, when somebody says, wow, a company has made, you know, 100 million this year or 900 million, you know, over the last 10 years or whatever, that is a huge number in their mind. Yes. Cool. And I understand that. But, you know, try to keep it, you know, relative in terms of like, what's a popular game right now? Like Fortnite.
Right.
Fortnite did almost $6 billion in 2024 revenue. So this is like a tiny drop in the bucket compared to other very notable games. So yes, it's cool, but I'm personally more focused on what has CIG done? What is, like, show me more of this planet tech, show me more of this server meshing. Like I want to know where these resources are going into because the number is really irrelevant. Honestly, it's cool to see round numbers, yes, but in the end, it's irrelevant. Like let's just like see what the product and you know, really ends up being.
I know that I have said quite often that I don't care about the quote unquote record breaking. I care about keeping the lights on, right? In an industry that could be impacted, where there could be layoffs, where there could be just sudden things that happen. My thing is always, I want CIG to bring in enough money to keep the development going. We've said this like 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, we figured it was going to taper off and level off at that point. I think this was even during COVID, and yet and still, there's been more attention toward the game. There's been more revenue toward the game. A new generation of players have come into the game. So there are a lot of reasons why this may be happening, but I agree with you, DaPoets. You know, when you look at the overall amount of money and the fact that we're such a small community that is funding this game in relation to others that are literally bringing in a lot more money than Star Citizen is. And with Star Citizen building 2 games, And I know you can't split it down the middle, but I'm just saying hypothetically, if you split it down the middle, you're talking $450 million. That's the price of a regular AAA game these days being developed. It's not like it's some excessive amount of money when you look at it from the context of that. But most of us don't have $900 million in our pocket, so it sounds like a lot of money. A lot of money. Captain Jones, what about you? We hit the milestone, we're moving forward. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much all been said. So,
Mhm.
the game is crowdfunded. So the fact that money's still coming in is a good thing.
Mhm.
However, that 900 million isn't as much money as people think. So
Mhm. Mhm.
when you split that up over multiple games, multiple years, and look at competitors,
Mhm.
I don't know why everybody thinks, Sig's out there buying yachts and eating caviar all day with that money. It's really just enough to keep him in the black, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a lot there. But again, it seems like a lot for people who don't have that type of money, or like the poets who deals with those type of money. It does seem like a lot of money. But the biggest thing is for me, like I said, I want them to make sure they keep the lights on. They can continue the development further into the years. Here's another one. DaPoets, I want to talk to you on this one first because I know you're familiar with this company. CLX Gaming did a giveaway. CIG did a couple of things. Last week we talked about the fact that they did the Twitch drops. This year they partnered with CLX, and this isn't the first time they've done that, but they did do something rather unique. And DaPoets, if you want to talk about it a little bit, what happened with the giveaway, or you know anything about it, or you want me to talk about
Yeah, I know it a little bit
it? Okay.
because I worked with CLX and Intel a couple of years ago, hence
Mm-hmm.
the Saber Raven,
Mm-hmm.
where we actually gave away a number of Saber Ravens, and CLX did a Saber Raven themed PC that was really nice, and we gave that away
Yes.
at DreamHack in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So now they took it, I guess, 2 steps forward because they made 2 PCs that are kinda brother and sister in a way,
Mm-hmm.
and, you put them together, and it's one artwork altogether. So
Mm-hmm.
one PC is gonna be, with CIG, the other is gonna be a giveaway winner, and it absolutely looks fantastic. I don't know if you have,
Yeah.
like, any pictures of it, but they did
Mm-hmm.
a CLX did a live stream with, was it Jorge and, like, some of
Mm-hmm.
the main people of CLX, and it was amazing to see those PCs put together and the design of it, very alien looking with all the print that they did. It was absolutely
It
just
was.
fantastic.
It was. It was very cool. Very
And
cool.
and and CLX is a very good friend of CIG. So
Yes.
if you attended, geez, what was that? The intro to Pyro for that
Mm-hmm.
Citizen Con a couple of
Mm-hmm.
years ago, 2 years ago. That was in Los Angeles, right? Yeah, that
Yep.
was amazing. They built 200 PCs, networked them together so that we could all get our first taste of Pyro at that Citizen Con.
It
So
was.
yes,
It was.
CLX is a good partner of CIG.
It was very cool. Let me see if I can get that in there. There it is, right there. That's what DaPoets was talking about. We also remember DaPoets. They were also one of our sponsors for Quantum Vegas, and they did a custom rig for us for Quantum Vegas as well.
That's
Good,
right.
good
That's
people
right.
there. Jorge is a
Mhm.
great person. They're going to be having. I forget what did they draw for this yet? I don't think they drew for it yet.
I don't.
It's coming
I
up,
didn't
I
see an
think.
announcement for
Yeah, I
that.
think there is
Yeah.
a date that's on the page. Let me see what it says here. I can't read it right now, but there is going to be a giveaway globally. When can I enter more than once? How long will the giveaway run? The giveaway will run till November 26th. It ends on December 30th. December
Oh,
30th.
okay.
Okay.
Excellent.
All right. So you got some
So I
time.
might
Hmm.
I might reach out and see if I can like fly on over there to
Oh, that'd be
film and
cool.
like do more promotion of it and
Oh, yeah,
stuff. So
that'd
we'll
be
see if they do that.
awesome. That would be so awesome if you could do that.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure. Add more stuff to my calendar too.
yeah, yeah. I hear you,
But I
Kimmy.
love it. I love it.
I watched a little bit of the stream, Kimmy, and I had never this rig that they had was kind of like an ultra wide. It was a different type of thing where they put what do you call it? The power supply was on the side so that you could see how this air circulated in it. It was very kind of cool how they set it up. I don't know if you got a chance to take a look at him, but I know Kimmy's into the whole tech thing. That's why I'm going to him now.
Oh, yeah.
You want one of these rigs, Kimmy?
I have a pretty monster system myself, but
Yeah.
no, I would not shy away from it.
You wouldn't turn it down. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I like the artwork and the design, and like the poet said, the fact that they created it where it's like a matching thing is very, very, very cool. Captain Jones, what about you? Did you check out any of the Twitch stream when they were on? You were at work, probably, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was working, but
Okay.
I caught some after the fact some
Okay.
clips in here though. But yeah, I mean the PC looks great. You know,
Mhm.
I'm a hardware junkie,
Mhm.
so anybody who wins that, I'm sure they're gonna be happy and blessed to have
Yeah.
that system on their desk.
Yeah, it was very, very cool. Good job to CLX and congratulations to whoever wins it. Maybe it'll be somebody we know. Okay, let's move on and let's talk about. I know this is going to be the real tough one, y'all, because as you guys know, we're gonna try to have this conversation last about maybe 10 minutes, probably, because we could talk about this forever. But we had a Star Citizen live, and it was a very different one called Lots of Ship Talk. And I'm just going to run the video. We're not going to listen to the video. I just want to get some feedback from our guests and their thoughts, some highlights for them that stood out in relation to this video. It was a lot of information.
Yeah, that was a no eye opener. It was Star Citizen Live went, they doubled down and did 2 hours, but some of the eye opening things were they revealed that they worked on 27 ships, and then they're not going to do concepts anymore. But there's one last concept ship.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people were excited as to what's coming down the pipeline. They're going to bring you the Galaxy for next year. And with the advent of base building and crafting and all these things of that nature that's coming on board, people
Mhm.
got really excited.
Mhm.
But the fact of the matter is, they're really putting together a lot of production in regards to ships, and that's its bread and butter right now. So it was really cool to see them become a little more looser, a little more candid with what's
Mhm.
coming down the pipeline. And it was all off after the aftermath of the release of the Perseus. And I think people were excited about the Perseus. They saw the quality build of it. So that gave them that momentum to kind of be a little more looser with what's coming down the pipeline. But yeah, personally,
Mhm.
I'm thinking they're on a really good pace with what they're doing.
Okay. Okay. Let me
Very
give
excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me give some quick shout outs. We had a whole bunch of people hitting us with stuff and I wasn't paying attention. CC Creator, thank you for the resub. 46 months. We appreciate you, brother. Pops in Space is always throwing out that community gift sub. Appreciate that. Sumo Superstar followed us and we appreciate you being here with us tonight. Our good friend MT Stunner hitting us with the 600 bits. Thank you, my brother. New Soul Sounds. New Soul, thank you so much for the resub as well. 49 months. And Envoy, thank you for the resub for 46 months. Well, all you old timers, y'all been around 4 years plus. That's a long time to be hanging out with us. We really appreciate you guys being here. DaPoets, highlights, thoughts, which are from this SCL.
I actually did watch the whole thing. It took me like 3 days, but I got through the
taking
whole
it in,
thing.
taking it in pieces. We get it. We get it.
Yeah. I like the fact that one, I can finally be like, okay, fine. Some of that information got out. I'm
Mhm.
happy about that.
Mhm.
Because like over the years, there've been like talks about like how the heck they're even going to do the Hull E and the Hull D because it was kind of
Mhm.
impractical and the technology was different compared
Mhm.
to the Hull C. It's not just like making things bigger; it's just different. And then the whole B is the whole X shape now as well.
Mhm.
So and that was kind of the benefit of me being in LA. I lived in LA for the last 10 years, so I would see a
Mhm.
lot of them too. So I'm a space trucker. That's what I love. So that's
Mhm.
the stuff when they were like, "Hey, we're gonna reduce it to 9,000 SCU." I was like, "Oh, okay." Now it's actually practical because I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't, as much as I love space trucking, I don't want to sit there and try to like manually move a hundred
96,000.
thousand pieces of, yeah, no, no. But in the end, it's still the biggest space
Yes.
trucking ship in this
Yes.
in the verse, right?
Hmm.
So it's still what I paid for. It's still what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I think that because years ago they had the concepts, and now they have a lot more. Hmm, I'm just gonna a lot more refinement because they have a better idea of where the game is going with
Mhm.
Squadron 42 and the capabilities of technology and stuff. That they just have to be more realistic with
Mhm.
gameplay. Can't be game breaking ships, just
Mm.
coming in and messing everything up. And so I really appreciated this show. It was just more just kind of real talk, like, hey, we're doing this because we can't do that. It would just mess everything up. I
Mhm.
love shows like that.
Yes.
Just give me the real stuff and a lot of cool teasers for 2026, but this is alpha development.
Yeah.
Almost all those teasers they said could go out the window, and there could
Mm.
be all new stuff. So it was an amazing show. I loved it, and I hope they do more shows of that nature. It doesn't have to be 2 hours, but I do hope they do more of these shows.
Yeah. Let me get some shout outs again real quick. Zombie Pig, thank you for the 5 community subs. Thank you for loving on our people, ZP. Serious Fun, good to see you also with another 5 community subs, sending out some more love to the folks out there. And last but not least, the one and only Thrakazogs, always here every week checking us out. Thank you for that community sub as well. Oh my God, Shimpasta. Thank you for the 10 community subs. You all are crazy. Thank you. Y'all only doing that because the Poets and Kimmy are here. That's why y'all doing that. I know that we got to have them back more often if y'all gonna start acting like that. So we appreciate you all doing that. Okay. Captain Jones, your thoughts on the SCL this week?
Yeah, man, I loved it. It was a lot of straightforward information, not a lot of cryptic or double talk. Jared asked the question, they answered the question. So I loved it. And we get a little bit numb to the amount of work that gets delivered in a year. So when I heard that they had dropped over 20 ships, I had to stop and take a moment to go back and start counting them because, I think we're all used to the years when we get 2 or 3 ships a year, or we're waiting for that quarter patch for the big ship, not realizing that they were constantly just flowing new ships to us. And it was great. I thought that I was done buying ships, but then they dropped the baby pioneer info on us, the forge. So now I got something else I had to buy. But yeah, I think it was a great show. And like the poet said, I love to see more down the future. Maybe just break it up a bit, multiple lives instead of 1 2-hour one. But it was great. No complaints.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys a question, but I won't give my comments just yet. I'm going to see what you guys think about this. One of the things I think that both Kimmy, actually all 3 of you said it, is the fact that there's a certain level of candor that existed in this conversation. Even the point where Ben at one point talked about his decision about the Polaris. He talked about, and it was interesting because he was able to talk about what the community had felt about the Polaris. He talked about many of the people felt like it was put out too soon or that they didn't do this or this. And he says, no, this is what really happened. I had a certain vision for that ship and I tried to get that vision across. And after it was put out there, the community responded a different way from it. And he said, and it was a judgment call, but that now they've learned some things. And now when they went to do the Perseus, they took some of the things that the community said, introduced it to that, and that they now may try to integrate some of those things into the design of, for more work on the Polaris later. I felt that was genuine. And one of the things I run into a lot of times, I know Kimmy has met these folks, DaPoets has met these folks, Captain Jones has met these folks. A lot of times I feel frustrated because when I hear people say things about the devs at CIG, and I'm not talking about necessarily Chris Roberts because that's a different thing, but they'll often say things about like they don't know what they're doing or they're just doing this, that, and the other. And, I always feel frustrated when I feel that way because Kimmy, I know you've talked with them, DaPoets, and when you talk with them, these are genuine people who are really trying to deliver a good game. They really are. And I know there can be frustrations that we have in the community, but I felt like this show, and DaPoets said, I wish that they would do more like this. And I'm glad you said it, DaPoets. It's not about the amount of time. It's more about what was said and how it was said. At least I hope that's what you were saying, because that's what I'm saying. I felt like there was just a general level of candor and a lot of questions that were answered that I've heard the community ask a zillion times over, that I felt like they finally opened up and kind of felt like, I'm going to say this last thing. People say, y'all just go on and tell us the truth. We can handle it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. At least that's how I felt the show was, is that they were much more open about both successes and failures. You guys got any thoughts on that or feel differently about it?
Yeah, like I had conversations with Bill Heim. He's the water tech guy. Then did all the water tech when the
Riverman.
The ship.
Oh, Haynes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Haynes. Yeah. And our conversation kind of mirrored what this Star Citizen Live was like. It was just more real. Like they're passionate about what they do, and like each one has their own skill set, things that they're good at when it comes to programming or artwork or design, whatever, audio. And they put everything that they are into that. And yet at the same time, this SEL like really showed the human nature of them, showing that, hey, we did everything that we thought was right for the Polaris. And then after getting the feedback from the community and how some true military ships do like signage with signs everywhere and all that stuff, now we have the Perseus, which is even more refined, which nipped in the butt some of the mistakes from the Polaris. And the next ship, the Galaxy, is probably going to be incredibly badass, because they've been learning so much now.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a blend of like Zeus and the military aspect. So this is going to be so fun to see their journey along the RSI track. And now, whether it's Misk next or more Anvil stuff next or whatever, like each ship, we just need to realize that the following one is going to probably be a lot more refined. And the odds of them going back to fix the Polaris, in ways that we want to say, quote unquote, fix, probably won't happen, because they need to keep moving forward, in my opinion. If it works, it works. And then when they have more time in the end, okay, sure.
That makes sense.
Yeah, this was more real. I like that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Kimmy, you got any thoughts?
Well, I just love the fact that they were kind of sensitive to the community in regards of this isn't working, and Ben Curtis gave that example of, hey guys, we understand that you looked at the Perseus and the pilot can shoot torpedoes. We're going to give you torpedoes too in your Polaris. So we're listening to you. We hear you. And we're going to bring that back to you. But also, I love the fact that they're, as the other guys were saying, they are learning from what comes from concept to what's applied out there. The examples of taking the best parts of the Perseus and even telling the community, hey, look, we're going to go back. We're going to use those refinements from the Perseus, apply them to the Polaris, but also going back to the old early stages of concepts, as the poet mentioned about, it went from the X to, well, the cross to the X, to allow the mist to land and pulling back some of the scale of containers so that it's more manageable. So it was beautiful to see that they take all these latent problems and issues, but also share their vision of what's going forward. That tells you that they have the confidence going forward of what they're doing. And it was an embracement of, yes, we love what we do, but we also respect the feedback that we get. So you saw all those elements come together in that SCL. It was pretty great, man. Seeing all those elements come together the way it did.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, my favorite ship in the game, what it would look like right now
if they
released it now.
Yeah.
And that ship is the Carrack. Like, imagine what the Carrack would be like if it was released today.
I wouldn't give hope. I wouldn't give up hope on it. I think they're going to end up doing the Carrack up really good, dude. I really do. First of all, there's so much of the design, especially with the pods, that hasn't been done. That's going to make them have to go back. The crafting repair room they have to do, the cartography room. You're going to get the ship you wanted, DaPoets. It's going to happen.
I know.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
To your guys' points, to you and DaPoets, Griffs, to your guys' points, you guys, I was there when John Crew said, hey, we're going to look at now the Carrack, because now crafting is more like your parallel to repair. So we're going to give the crafting room its due in the Carrack. And people are sitting there like, oh, hell, I got to go unmelt my damn Carrack. I
got something to show you guys. I'll be right back. I got something to show you.
Okay. All right. Captain Jones.
I got to go back.
Your thoughts, Captain Jones, on the SCL? Anything about the question I asked about the candor and them being more open? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was great because, I often tell people who, are saddened or moaning that their particular favorite ship isn't out yet, it is development, and every time they make a ship, that next ship just looks that much better. But by them being,
oh, look at that! That's
nice.
the picture that was at the studio in L.A. Yeah, the original. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And signed. Woohoo! Love it, love it. What's your address again, DaPoets?
Planet Earth. Planet Earth.
It's very nice. Very nice, dude. Thanks for showing us that. You go ahead, Captain Jones. What are you saying?
Yeah, so the candor that they had, the ownership with it really reinforces that because we know that each time something developed, the next iteration of it gets more refined and better.
Mhm.
The Polaris was the first ship in that ilk. There wasn't anything to refine from it.
Yeah.
However, by them being transparent with it, kind
Mhm.
of stops all that theory crafting because everybody's sitting back behind the keyboards saying why the Polaris
Mhm.
came out the way it did versus now we know. He had a
Mhm.
particular vision.
Mhm.
That the vision didn't really hit the mark that he was looking for based off of feedback. And the
Mhm.
most important part is they used that feedback to refine the next iteration. So each one that comes out, it's going to be better. And
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat with the poets. Every time I see one of these ships like the Perseus comes out, I'm like, I wish my ship hadn't come out yet because each one just gets a little better and better.
Yeah. 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 I mean, my comment to the show is that again, I enjoyed it. Um, I agree with you, Kimmy, and to Captain Jones when you all talked about the 27 ships. It's like, wow, you have to go back and think and say, wow, there really were these many ships that came out, and the fact that one of the things I'm also liking is that, and maybe this is staged or not. You have no way of knowing if it's completely staged, but we've all met Disco before. Um, and one of the things I appreciate is that Disco will ask hard questions. Now, maybe some people don't think he asks hard enough questions, but there are times when he tells them that what they did was not good or that it was crap. And those are the times when I do feel like he is speaking the voice of the community. It may not be all the time, and we all understand his position is he can't be throwing rocks all the time, or he probably would not be employed at CIG. But the fact that he does do it and can do it, and calls them to the carpet sometimes for decisions that are made, or at least asks for answers for why. I think a lot of times that's the big thing too, is like, why did they make the decision, or what brought them to that conclusion to do something. And I think that when we do hear those answers, even if we don't like them, to your point, DaPoets, the sizing of the whole D and the whole E, yeah, fanciful fantasy imagination, it sounds great to have 96,000 SEU, but the reality of it is that we didn't want a ship that was going to be 4 times bigger. We didn't want to spend 5 hours trying to figure out how to load it, or $1 million to pay somebody. And those numbers will be realistic for gameplay. Someone, I don't know if it's CIG who says this or what, but it's like they're game developers, not shipbuilders, right? They can get information on building ships and consulting, but their main focus is developing a game. And so I was very happy I'm like you, DaPoets. I watched it in pieces. That morning I rode around in the car and just listened. Then I came back later. We sat here. In fact, a bunch of people joined me in one of the rooms, and we sat here and just watched it and went through it again because there was just so much information. But I felt it was a very good SCL. And then they said that they're going to try to bring more shows. We know that they're trying to get past this hump with Squadron 42. So hopefully we'll be able to see a few more things, and especially to DaPoet's point, shows like this, that are open and we have some great conversations. Okay, last but not least, Eva Cotty. Eva Cotty got in the PTU under NDA Alpha 4.5.0. We know that they have been working in the tech preview and doing some other things, which was mostly focused on the engineering. But now we know that there's also other things that have been introduced into this new patch that they're looking at. And CIG also has attempted and said that their intention was to try to get it out to at least wave 1. I think last week when we talked about the fact that we know that they want to get engineering out by the end of the year. Some people are like, oh, it's not going to happen. May not. Wouldn't be surprising. But it may. And at the very least, I'm hoping that it's in PTU and that they keep the live running so people have choices between the two. But it's still November. It hasn't hit December yet. And maybe within 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we may actually have not only a PTU, but even possibly a live. Now, that's always difficult because CIG goes on vacation for about 3 weeks. And we don't like having a game that's really buggy and jacked up while they're away. DaPoets, I'm going to come to you first this time on this one, since I hit Kimmy first last time. Are you Eva Cotty? I know you can't show anything, but you can talk about how you feel, or if you're not and you've been watching videos about what's coming up, just give me your feedback on 4.5.
Yeah, I've been Eva Cotty for a couple of years now. doesn't matter. I barely have time.
I get it. I get
But
it. Mhm.
but I get to read all the stuff. That's basically what I do. And if there's something that's really interesting,
Mhm.
then I do dive in.
Mhm.
Like for Vulcan.
Mhm.
Well, for those who don't know, for my content, I do test a lot of like PC hardware. I partner with like Intel, Nvidia, AMD. Like I go to Taiwan and Vegas for CES, and like Malaysia for Intel. Like I tour fabrication plants and all that stuff. So I'm more curious about the technology behind it. And so
Mhm.
with Vulcan, they for 4.5 they've added Nvidia's transformer model. So it's kind of like the backbone of the DLSS 4, and I've done a ton of videos on DLSS4 and how it greatly improves performance on like basic, like the lowest end of the NVIDIA 50 series and even 40 series and 30 series GPUs.
Hmm.
But it's kind of a game changer.
Mhm.
So it really allows lower performing systems to get very high FPS, very good looking images on their screens. Not much artifacting at all these days. Like it's really refined. So this is something that I've been like really asking CIG, like, hey, when is this happening? DLSS4 is coming out. Like, are you guys on pace with it and all that stuff? Because so many games like just launched right away with DLSS4. And Nvidia did a huge like marketing thing with like the Indiana Jones game, The Circle, and
Mhm.
a bunch of other stuff. And like and Intel's doing a big things with Battlefield 6 now as well. So that's because like game developers are working with the PC hardware manufacturers to make sure like their game is like top notch, right? So now that Star Citizen's kind of at the point of with Vulcan, hey, we can now start to work with NVIDIA to get DLSS4 and or at least the basics of it, the transformer model. That's great news.
Okay.
That means they've reached a particular hurdle in that Vulcan processing, with multi-thread and everything, where now they're like, okay, we can kind of branch out because we're not going to change too much of the core-ness of Vulcan, right?
Mhm.
So they have their core Vulcan that's working pretty well. Now they can start to add features like DLSS4.
Hmm.
So that's a big thing. That's what I love to see.
Okay. Okay. Kimmy, how about you? I mean, before I let Kimmy speak, I'm sorry I meant to read this to both of you beforehand. The ready for testing part that they did for Evocati first was stability and bug fixes, engineering, ship fire hazards, ship armor, balance, Vulcan renderer, the graphics settings, updates, and physicalized armors. What they're not testing just yet, that is a part of this patch, are snub fighters and interceptor balance, FPS AI improvements, ship light amplification detection, PU loot refresh and collector rebalance, and additional hairstyles. Okay, Kimmy, I'm sorry. Your
Oh
thoughts
no,
about
you're
4 or
good.
5?
Yes, to the poet's point about the Vulcan tech, really cool because you're now able to see a balance between the CPU and the GPU. They offload on a balance to allow better optimizations, better higher rates of frames for a default system, basically. Um, One of the things I did notice in the testing was propagation of fire along the lines of, okay, let's say we're all in the ship together. Our names are clients,
Mhm.
and the DGS, or the dedicated game server, is sending out, hey, there's fire on Griff's ship. There's fire on my ship. There's fires.
Mhm.
Only you and I see the alarm and
Mhm.
everything, and we're, dude, you're standing in it, but they don't feel any effects or any of that, anything of that nature. So I'm suspecting that there's a major desync and a lack of the synchronization between the clients, us, and the dedicated game server. So they actually pulled fire propagation, and then they went along with testing and pulled it off separately to fix it.
Mhm.
And so in real time, they're still looking at assessing if they're able to get it to where one. I love their aggressiveness with this. The other thing was the other bug was when you try to go to repair, you're using your multi-tool,
Mhm.
you right click, you see it goes into the repair mode, and it's basically a scanner for the interior and exterior, so you're able to scan all surfaces, and it will tell you if it's repairable or not. But if you
Mhm.
have any damage to your armor,
Mhm.
it it is preventing you from analyzing if your item is repairable on your ship. So those are some of the things
That's
we
still
are
getting
finding
through.
out. But, yeah, but I
Wow.
love the aggressiveness to this, trying to push it to wave one. But you're gonna like the engineering aspect of it. It's beautiful to see.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to really testing out as many as I can the physicalized helmets as well. Because that's something I've been greatly looking forward to. Just like holding the helmet, looking on the inside of it, like
Yeah.
attaching it to your hip.
Mhm.
I've been missing just that aspect of just like everything physicalized. That's what I want.
Yeah.
And it's the whole like magic storage areas and stuff that always kind of bothered me a little bit. But I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
It was coming.
Captain Jones, 4.5.
Yeah, so the poets really jumped on the one thing I was gonna bring up in the physicalized part. So we spoke in detail about the Vulcan already, so won't rehash that. But in a nutshell, SIG accomplishing the feat with the Vulcan's going to, help with a lot of people's optimization of PCs. Everybody's always talking about, their rig and how much RAM they have and their CPU and all that. And we forget that, the game itself is really raw. It's not optimized. So yeah, for those who are power users, you can punch your way through it. But say getting that optimized for all players is going to be a big milestone. But to go back to the physicalized helmets, I see that as a stepping stone of how that works is going to physicalize that whole armor set. So we probably all have ships that we walk around and we see them empty armor lockers and kind of just visualize what it could be. Right now, you can take it off and throw some boxes in there, but I'm waiting to have that whole Batcave moment where I can have all my armors actually sitting there, look like the helmets, the chest, all of that, and that helmet I think is a good launching for that. So that's really one of the things I'm most excited about.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to toss in. I saw you, Shimpasta, since they've hit on engineering and fire and Vulcan, which we can all talk about. I'm going to talk about the armor, the ship armor in particular. And this is something that we have talked about for the longest time, that we've been the final piece that has gone along. There's still more that has to come, right? With shields. I mean, even though we have shields, we know there's supposed to be shield emitters and all types of stuff. But the fact that armor is going to start becoming introduced into the game, I think now when we've talked about ships, whether they're tanky, whether they're glass cannons, all this other stuff, will get totally reassessed. And hopefully the ship that you've wanted it and the way you've wanted it in performance and defensive measures will start to actually feel that way. And CIG is moving toward this thing of not destruction, but damage. You could still destruct, but a lot more work to destroy versus damage, which introduces a whole nother level of other careers. Kemi touched on this with repair, introduces other things with the economy, all the other things that we've been wanting to see happen in the game. So I think this is kind of a real pivotal. I think Kemi, you said it earlier. This is kind of like a game-changing moment for what can happen in the game. And hopefully this is the thing that a lot of us have been waiting for, where we really start to see Star Citizen become the game that had been pitched a very, very long time ago. Of course, everything's not here, but this is kind of a major milestone to a certain degree of where they're going with the game. Okay. Last but not least, we're gonna tap into these our guests' genius brains here and talk about the sneak peek. Just keep digging. I'm gonna give you guys your thoughts on what the heck you think. There's a lot of elements in here of what it could be, so we'd like to hear what you all think. Kimmy, you got any ideas after you saw this shot, what you think they might be talking about? Just keep digging.
Yes, looking at the prospects of mining more, making a realistic approach to mining, mining cavities, mining veins, the potential of, I'll throw in a little theory craft here. Maybe the Maelstrom system will allow for destructive aspects of surfaces, so you can get further in, but also it could be the recycling of tech that they already have, such as caves. So the reinvention or the renaissance of caves that now becomes locations for, like, for example, maybe Pyro 1. They said it's toxic to live on the surface, so why not just go underground? But it opens up the door for mining on a larger scale, going under and beneath the surface of something as far as mining is concerned. So they want to go further with mining. I think we're just hitting our strides with it because we're still waiting on the Arastra. We're looking at the Orion. What is that? The rock cracker aspect they showed at CitizenCon Direct. So that could be a segue to that because you're talking about the Orion cracking a large rock and you're actually digging and extracting from inside an asteroid. So a lot of play there. So it's just enough to keep you excited and say, hey, I'm keeping my prospector. I'm glad I have the Arastra. Oh yeah, I pledged for the Orion. I'm ready for it. And whatever manufacturers they may introduce. But yeah, that gets me excited.
Okay. DaPoets, you see anything in that shot that makes you wonder what the heck?
I'm starting to think about environmental things. You know, is OSHA involved in this? You know, so it's more of like when as we have life support coming, how long are you going to be able to be in these asteroids mining, right? Is there going to be a mobile pod that you can put down that gives people more oxygen or like heals them or something when they're injured? This is something that, you know, when you're the show the Expanse, you know, the belters out there, that's their lives. They're out there mining and stuff, and therefore that's a whole ecosystem that they have to keep those, you know, miners alive. I'm curious to see how far they're going to take that type of gameplay because I love mining. Yes, that's my number 2 trade right there. You know, space trucking is number 1, and I'm greatly looking forward to this. I have no idea what they're really trying to show with this picture, but I'm hoping it's not beam related. I want to see like something like pounding into the gravel and everything, and like things coming up, and maybe like a spinning turbine or something drilling into it. Like I want to see something like that. I'm a little tired of the beams.
I hear you. Okay, Captain Jones, you got any ideas?
Yeah, so I would also hope that, you know, it's not beam related, but we already know that most things are beam citizen. But when you fight the Yurmandi, you can see that there's some drilling equipment down there. So I think SIG is looking to I think the rock cracker was brought up already. I think SIG is looking to expand some of that real estate. We have so much cave systems that we can go in and, you know, we mine on top of the surface, we mine out in outer space, but other than the little hand minables, we don't do much underground. And we've already got the Hathor event where, you know, there's a whole cave network full of materials under there that we don't have access until you crack it open. So I think they're going to start expanding on that. And, you know, between the Hathor and the Yurmandi and a few other things, you can kind of see that's where it might be leading. And then people did talk about, you know, environmental effects. You know, if you ever did the Hathor now, you know, you'll start running out of air or overheating, just depending on, you know, what the gear that you have on. So it seems pretty exciting because it gives people more things to do, more places to go, and hopefully there's not that many beams involved.
I like.
In fact, I want mining explosives. I want like some type of device where you can like kind of scan a little area and be like, okay, that's a good area to blow up. Put it there. The timer is like 20 seconds or something like that, so it's not applicable to actual like FPS combat, but mining, and just like boom,
that'd be cool.
Explosion, and then you see what's behind there. Like I want to see stuff like that.
That would be cool. I'm going to go to Kimmy's statement a little bit. Kimmy, me and you're going to play over Fantasyland here a little bit. Boy, if I thought that they were going to drop something from Maelstrom or Genesis on us here because of that statement, I kept asking myself, why would somebody say just keep digging? And it makes me almost sound like maybe like there was a cave in and somebody's just telling them, just keep digging. We got to get out of here. But that's Kimmy, that's where I'm going with it. Okay. With the fantasy with Maelstrom, because you mentioned Maelstrom. The thing that I did also notice that there was heavy equipment in here. And this lends to what DaPoets was saying, that there is some heavy equipment. And sometimes we know some of this stuff is just props. And then there are other times when we know some of those props CIG has the intention to activate at some point and actually have them doing something in the game. So I'm hoping, since right now the emphasis seems to be around Nyx, And you guys mentioned about mining, that maybe there's something here that's saying there's going to be something going on in caves now, because obviously we've had caves forever. There's nothing new about that. The question is, what's new in here? What's different? And I'm hoping that there is something coming up in relation to either the missions, as you mentioned, Captain Jones, that are upcoming with Rockcracker and maybe some other things. Maybe this is a prelude to that, or maybe it's just part of the new missions that CIG is introducing. But I am very curious about where they may lead with this one. So that's basically it. That's basically it. Okay. Well, we've gotten over the hump. We've gotten through Star Citizen this week. We had a lot of stuff happening this week, and I appreciate you all being here with us and hanging out with us. What we're going to do so that we don't have to interrupt the show today is that we are going to go to our commercial break early. We're going to do it 9 minutes earlier than we usually do. And when we come back from our commercial break, we're going to jump into our topic for today, which is IAE 2955. And once again, we've got DaPoets with us, and we've got Kemi65 with us, and we have you with us. We appreciate you all being here with us. So just kind of hang in here. We got a 1 minute commercial, and then we're going to be right back. So don't go very far. We'll be right back. We'll be right back. Hello, hello, hello. If you are seeing this, that means you are one of our sponsors, one of our supporters, and we want to say thank you, as always, for being here. Because you are a sponsor and supporter, we're doing a special giveaway today. We didn't tell anybody about this. We're giving away every ship that was given away during IAE, except the Perseus. We're giving away every ship, one of every ship. So stick around. This means there's going to be 5 giveaways today that we're going to be doing, and you might be one of the lucky winners. And don't forget, if you're a subscriber, you get double the votes in order to be able to get into the giveaway. So make sure you check in for that when it's time to do that. Kimmy, tell everybody where they can find you. We're going to do it again at the end. Where can people find you?
You will see me on Twitch, and that's where I'm hanging out. Same name, Kemi65.
All right.
You'll see me there.
DaPoets?
Hey, just search DaPoets. I'm everywhere.
Yeah, you can just put DaPoets in. It'll pop up on your social media. Okay. Well, again, thank you all. Thank you all for being here. Hey, we are back. We are back. Thank you all for hanging out with us for that 1 minute break and giving us a couple seconds to get ourselves together. We are going to be talking about our review of IAE 2955. I'm just going to kind of pull things from these guys' minds. And as you guys know, we've done this every year since we've been on. We've been doing the review of both Invictus and IAE every year. And in the earlier years, we used to kind of go through every ship that was shown, every manufacturer. But as you all know, the ships have grown. There are over 200 ships now that are out there, variants and all this other stuff, and vehicles. And so most of you all are very familiar with that. So what we are going to do is spend our time talking about what's new and getting feedback, because CIG gave us several vehicles this year to talk about. And of course, we want to hear our guests and my co-hosts' thoughts on what CIG put out, why they put it out, get their feeling and feedback on if they tested it and all that good stuff. And of course, we want to hear what you guys have to say in the channel as well. We are paying attention to your chat. So thank you all for throwing so much great input in already. Let me start out real quick. DaPoets, I'll go to you first on this one. This year, we were back at Orison at the Vision Center. Thoughts about the aesthetics, the design of the convention center itself. Thoughts about performance this year in the sense of, did it run well for you? Did it suck? Any thoughts you got about just the convention itself?
I guess I'm kind of more at the mindset of how much work did they put into it, and was it too much? You know, because I like how they're kind of consolidating things now, instead of being like a whole new show basically every couple of days. It's just kind of like, this is the convention and we're going to swap out a few things here and there because we got other stuff to do. You know, I like the balance that they found with that. And yeah, you don't get to see like the whole shebang like we used to in the past, but I don't think that's really necessary when you can go out and rent every freaking ship in the verse right now. I think that's much more tangible than actually just kind of walking around the ship and looking at it. So I think they found that balance. That's what we needed, and because of that performance, from what I've seen, it's kind of hard. I have all like high-end systems, but performance, what I've seen in terms of like other YouTubers and stuff, nobody's complained. at all. The more performance issues have been, the new system, obviously, with Nix and Levski, but that's understandable. But the convention floor at this point should run smooth. And I think that they've done a good job with that.
Okay.
In terms of aesthetics, like I like the best in show colors. I do. That's taste and preferences. Purple and gold would be my choice, honestly, but it's just the Omega in me.
Yeah.
But overall, it's easy to get around. It's easy to understand where everything is. I like how they have the maps and they have like videos of cool stuff going from videos in the past of like the ship advertisements. I like all that stuff. And CIG every year, they've always done a very good job of making it feel like it is a convention. That's pretty darn cool. You get the ambience of the sounds, you get shirt sales and all that stuff. It's cool. It's just a fun time.
Yeah.
So yeah, they did a good job.
Okay. Kimmy?
Yes, I concur. I have to say, they talked about delivering on the Perseus, which was the highlight. It was the granddaddy of the ship manufacturers, as you all know, Robert Space Industries, or RSI. It was the forefront, but it was a weird dynamic in a great way, because not only you have the showcase of the Perseus itself, and knowing that it's coming out, it's on time, but you also had these slew of other ships, and then you had a new location. So when you look at IAE, it should have been called multitasking 2955, because you had so much. It was almost like information overload in the grandest of way. But you had people over in Nix, Levski. You had people looking up at the Polaris, and it was just so many moving parts. But at the same time, it was almost perfect in the sense of them delivering so much, and still people were able to get in the game. And you had a mad rush of people jumping into the game, none like ever before. It was just the fact that they were able to seriously multitask, but also keep IAE at the forefront of all these other things that was happening at the same time, production wise. But yeah, definitely the Perseus was the crown jewel. It was the highlight. It did Chris proud, because it was called Robert Space Industries. So it was a great moment seeing that.
Okay. Captain Jones?
Yeah, I like the current format they're going with everything being consolidated. I mean, at one point in time, and it was cool for us to run in each day and see what new ships were that you hadn't seen before. But unless you were someone that just started playing, or in for just a free flight event, that's really not necessary anymore. We've got 200 plus ships now. Everybody's seen most of them. Going through the time and effort to refresh those every day by manufacturing, put every ship out there, I don't think is a good economy of time there. The devs could be doing something else. So keeping it fresher like that, highlighting what's new that's coming out. Everybody still has access to rent and fly any ship that they want in game still, and they moved those kiosks so that you get to them real quick, before you just have to look for them. So I think it's great, on top of the fact that they had other things going on at the same time. So by allocating those resources elsewhere, we've got a free flight that happened. We've got a new system that's out, new events, new gameplay, all happening at the same time. Where if we remember back in the day, it used to be IE or Victus and a free flight happening, we usually just took the week off because we knew it was going to be crashing and lag city. But it worked out pretty good. I like the direction that it's going.
Yeah. I want to play devil's advocate for a hot second. Kimmy, you touched on something that I think is important. You said there was almost information overload, and I think, correct me if I think I'm translating what you're saying correctly, because I didn't think about this. And to your point, Captain Jones, back in the day when a convention was going on, it was the convention and it was Stanton, and that was it. And now there's the convention, Stanton, there's also Pyro, there's also Levski, all going on at the same time. There are activities that are structured, right? The Hathor is still going on. The Onyx facilities are still going on. You've got all these different things that are coexisting at the same time, where before, when the convention happened, everything was just kind of focused on just that. There's a part of me that feels nostalgic, that kind of misses the fact that the ships changed every day. And I'm only speaking from a nostalgia standpoint, not from a efficiency standpoint. I agree with DaPoets and Captain Jones and you, Kimmy. I think that the new setup is economical, and I think it makes sense. The only thing that I worry about is that I can say that as a person who's gone to multiple years of this. IAE is also the time when we put in the free fly and we're introducing new people. Those new people only saw so many ships out there. If they go to the kiosk, there's nothing there that tells them this is what a prospector is, this is what a hawk is, blah, 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 blah. So I'm hoping that what CIG will do is not introduce having all the ships back out there, but I would love for them to say when it's MISC Day, even though the kiosk is there, that there's something that describes what all those ships are. I don't know if it's a wall that has a picture of each ship and a little description, but something that lets new players come in and they can see that Anvil has 37 ships. And wow, these are the 3 that are on the floor, but here's the other 34 of them that are out here.
Hit the nail on the head for something I've actually asked CIG to do, which was they already have some of that information in the, you go into the shops to actually buy a ship and has information on that ship.
Yes.
Just link that to our, our terminal to pull a ship.
Yeah.
And is it like a little question mark, boom, and then all the info is right there.
Yeah.
It's just linking. Yes, graphically, the systems look entirely different. True.
Then you're on the same page. Yep. That's a good idea. And that's all I would think of. Like I said, for me, I know what all the ships are. So, I'm just coming to see what the latest thing is. But if it is a recruitment period for new people to come in, and because there are so many ships now, I would like for them to still provide something so that the person who comes to the convention for the first time, even if they go to those kiosks, there's some reference there so that they can know what it is they're renting. Because I think you can get lost now. I mean, some of us have been around forever and we forget what certain ships do, let alone if you're brand new coming into the game. So other than that, I agree. Kimmy, I think you mentioned this earlier when you talked about the Perseus being the gem of the convention. It was so cool to get off the tram and the Perseus was hanging up above as you walked in. That was really, really cool, just visually as you came in to see that. And again, I think the layout inside is nice. It doesn't feel crowded. I know I'm going to punch the next time I get it. Listen, if they ever let us punch NPCs, if another NPC pushes me away from that map when I'm trying to look at it, I'm going to punch them. But other than that, I had a great time at the convention center. I love the new colors this year. God, thank you. Listen, DaPoets, purple's my favorite color, but CIG needed to get off the purple the last couple of years. I'm glad they shuffled it around a little bit. So maybe purple and gold will come up next year. But the purple they had the last year, I'm like, y'all come on with the purple. So they have a nice gold. I'm waiting for black and gold. I don't know if they're ever going to do that because that's kind of a little bit too executive. But anyway, I think they did a great job this year as well. Let's get these guys' opinions about these ships. That's what we want to talk about now. We've been talking about all this other stuff. We're going to get on these ships. Let's start out with the very first one. Kimmy, we'll start out with you. Let me read the description here. The very first ship that we're going to talk about is the RSI Salvation. This is the origins of a salvager. Start as you mean. Was it start as you mean to succeed with RSI's newest career ship? The built for beginners salvation. This compact, accessible craft delivers everything an aspiring salvager could need to get going. With beginner-friendly functionality and a back-to-basics interior, the Salvation is exactly to those who dream of finding their tomorrow in the wrecks of yesterday. All right, Kimmy, talk to us about that Salvation.
The Salvation. You already have the player already may have the Vulture or the Reclaimer. This speaks to people who are just jumping into Star Citizen and they're looking at the price point. They're looking at a small footprint of, hey, I want to gather resources. I think it's a great way to say, hey, I'm not sure about this, but it's not that expensive. Let me try it. Let me dip my toe in it. But I think the big picture to the Salvation is with the advent of crafting that's coming. And for those who, even for the players who've been in the game for quite a while, I think if you don't have a salvager, you need to get this because this is all about getting resources, pulling resources to utilize crafting, whether it's your wear and tear to your armor, your ship, components. This is where you can utilize that ship for the best purpose in the game, and that's crafting. That's coming. At it, me, I'm saying, okay, I got the vulture, those materials into the refinery of the galaxy, and I'm like, oh God, I gotta get it. I gotta get it. So I
Okay.
think for the price point,
Mhm.
it's great. It's an entry level. I like it. Why not?
Okay. All right. DaPoets, Salvation.
Elite Dangerous. That game did a very good job of entry level ships,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that obviously we all know that Star Citizen is not entry level friendly for anything. You know, like how to play the game, how to fly, nothing. So they'll get there, yes, but one of the things is, okay, you're new to the game. What ship should I try out first? And I want to do this, right? And they need to just make more ships to allow new players to do whatever for that particular role. And this hit the nail on the head, honestly. Small, nimble, easy to fly, easy to control. In fact, I think when I get back into salvaging, I'm just going to fly this for a while, just to get used to it, get the rust out.
Yeah.
It's a cool ship, well designed,
Mhm.
and it just makes sense. You know, we need more of these.
Yeah.
They did, I think, a good job with the golem, and they're just learning how to make things easier for newer players. And the newer players, revenue wise, is going to be the big deal. You know,
Mm.
I guess I'm not an OG player. I only started like 2021,
Mhm.
but I have enough ships, you know,
Mhm.
and I haven't spent any money this IAE. All I
Mhm.
did was kind of melt some things that I'd never ever fly, and got a few upgrades.
Mhm.
So I'm cool, but so it's really the newer players going to really bring in that revenue for
Mhm.
CIG,
Mhm.
and this is a great way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, a great way to also learn what a lot of these other Counter Strike, Battlefield 6 players, Fortnite players would actually like to see in Star Citizen. You know, we
Mhm.
are the enthusiasts. You know,
Mhm.
we talk and sleep and wear the merch and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But the true revenue cash cow is going to be the average gamer,
Yeah.
right? That just wants to be like, hey, this is kind of cool. Let me run around, shoot things. Let me salvage some things. Let me mine. Let me figure this out and play something with my buddies.
Mhm.
And they need these starter ships in order to do it. And I think the RSI Salvation looks cool. It was meme friendly. Looks kind of like the Xbox logo in a way. I've seen a lot of those, memes,
Mhm.
and it's welcoming.
Yeah.
So it's what they needed to do. And I hope
Yeah.
a lot of these newer starter ships that come out aren't as jalopy looking as the golem, because that was a little weird, but I think this one is a lot more welcoming, in my opinion. Basic preferences.
Yeah. Yeah. Captain Joseph, let me ask you a different question. I've heard, and I've never heard new people say this. I've heard the veteran players say this. I would never buy a starter career ship. I'm like the poets. I'm in the Kimmy is too. I'm an industry person. If I came into Star Citizen right now and I could choose between like all the starters, a cutter, an Avenger, Aurora, but if I saw a Golem or a Salvation and I'm into that, I wouldn't buy those general ships. I actually probably would have bought one of those. Do you think that comment that I would never buy a starter career ship from the old veterans just because we've been around a long time? Or do you think that new players would go with a more general ship and would not even consider these new starter career ships?
Yeah, I definitely think it's tied to the fact that person making that statement, I would never get a starter ship,
Mm-hmm.
just doesn't need a starter ship. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they've already got reclaimers and moles and every other ship out there to do that career. Maybe waiting on ones that aren't out yet, but they've been playing for a long time. You know, they've mastered that particular career. It really doesn't serve a purpose for them because they're thinking, when will I ever fly this salvation when I've already got a, reclaimer in the hangar or a vulture in the hangar. However, as a new player, who's just getting into the game, looking at what they get from a starter standpoint, both financially and just learning how to play the game. They already need a game package. So then by them bundling these starter ships, career ships like this, the Golem, into those game packages, they're scratching two itches. The new player can figure out the career. Um, Maybe figure out that they don't even like the career without having a large investment into that when they're just getting started. So it's easy enough for those who already have just waiting for their Orion to get finished or released to say, hey, I would never get a Golem, or I would never get this Salvation because they've already got these other ships. But that's because we got other ships. Like how many people brand new who just did free fly think, let me go buy this $400 ship that I don't know how to use. Or they can get the direction that SIG's going now and let you kind of try it out with low risk. And at worst case scenario, now they got an LTI token, but they don't